Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The Sejm's European Union Affairs Committee met today to discuss the corruption scandal in the European Parliament. Law and Justice MEP Dominik Tarczynski said that we are dealing with a corruption spy scandal in which Russian influence plays a major role, and people charged with corruption had been involved in drawing up resolutions criticising Poland. More and more information is coming out about the corruption scandal in the European Parliament, pointing to Russian involvement. According to MEP Dominik Tarczynski, the $300 million that was transferred by Russia for lobbying in 20 countries mainly went to European Union countries. The MEP added that there was supposed to be a kind of price tag in EU institutions. One amendment cost €50,000. I repeat, this is not Morocco Gate, this is not Qatar Gate. These are much larger sums. I don't think a small country from the Gulf will be able to donate such sums towards corruption. The Belgian MEP, who was stripped of his immunity by the European Parliament last week, Mark Tarabella, is suspected of accepting €140,000 for a resolution against Algeria. In recent years, the European Parliament has passed some 40 resolutions against Poland. We want to ask how this whole scandal, the gigantic corruption scandal, had an impact on the fact that there were resolutions passed against Poland. In addition to Tarabella, those implicated in the case include Maria Arena, Antonio Panzeri and Andrea Cozzolino. All of these individuals are linked by the grouping to which the MEPs belong or have belonged. The new vice president, who was elected to replace the corrupt Eva Kaila, also comes from the Social Democratic Party. When you look at how many of these deputies, and those are also former MEPs, from this political family, and they are corrupt, well, I would not lend money to this gentleman. This is certainly not the last time the Parliamentary Committee has debated the problem of corruption and lobbying in the European Union Parliament. Accordingly, the President will ask the Speaker of the Sejm to appoint a standing subcommittee to continue these discussions. We hope that for the next subcommittee, if not personally, Madam Speaker of the Parliament will perhaps send a representative, so that the representative will also listen to our opinions and our questions. In the wake of the scandal in the European Parliament, Chairwoman Roberta Metsola outlined a series of reforms to curb corrupt activities. This was certainly announced by the President of the Parliament, but it seems to have failed in this term. It will not be possible to make statements like Radosław Sikorski's that he makes €40,000 a month by giving some consultation. This statement will have to look like this. You will have to write who it is, what money, and what is the effect of these consultations. Last week, Pier Antonio Panzeri, president of the NGO Fighting Impunity, went to a settlement with Belgian services. Because this will include an ever-widening circle of those who have benefited from this type of lobbying, because this is not lobbying, it is a crime of corruption. And if this is the case, we will learn of new cases and perhaps new countries involved. The corruption scandal erupted after former European Parliament Vice President Eva Kaili was arrested in December. The Greek woman is suspected of accepting huge bribes from Qatar. Kaili will remain in pretrial detention in Belgium until at least the 22nd of January. Greek services are also investigating her case. Pressure makes sense. Germany will now transfer 14 Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. In addition, Poland and other countries may transfer their Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. Berlin's decision will enable the formation of an international coalition of countries which together will transfer more than 100 tanks of German manufacture. In turn, US media reports that United States will transfer 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine.
The Leopard tanks to be donated by Germany are to come from the Bundeswehr inventory. A tank company will be formed from them. This is the result of very intensive discussions we have had with our allies and international partners. I would like to make it clear that this is and was the right decision, that we did not act under pressure, but discuss such decisions together first. Berlin has declared its willingness to create 2 tank battalions in the future. Germany has also given permission to countries such as Poland to transfer the Leopards it owns to Ukraine. The agreement between Warsaw and Berlin required the approval of German authorities to export the tanks outside of NATO. This is a historic moment because the decision-making process is taking place in an internationally coordinated manner and at a time of highly volatile situation in Ukraine. The goal is to be able to secure deliveries as quickly as possible. Poland was the first to take the initiative to transfer a company of Leopard tanks to Ukraine as part of a broader international coalition of countries. Thank you, Chancellor Olaf Scholz. The decision to send Leopards to Ukraine is a big step towards stopping Russia. Together, we are stronger. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak also conveyed his thanks. The right decision by NATO allies and friends to send main battle tanks to Ukraine. Alongside Challenger 2s, they will strengthen Ukraine's defensive firepower. Together, we are accelerating our efforts to ensure that Ukraine wins this war and secures a lasting peace. Germany's decision was influenced by international pressure. Earlier, the UK pledged to send modern Challenger 2 tanks to Ukraine. In turn, according to U.S. media reports, plans are currently being finalized by the U.S. to send Ukraine about 30 M1 Abrams tanks. Poland has been the initiator of this debate, except of course for Ukraine. Kiev also had hope and expected such deliveries. Poland supported by all means, and it finally succeeded. ABC News station, citing information from within the Ukrainian government, reported that an agreement was reached in Ramstein regarding the joint transfer of Leopards by 5 countries: Poland, Finland, Spain, the Netherlands, and Denmark. The 100 tanks will not change the situation on the front line, but they offer the prospect of further deliveries of heavy equipment from the West, says Łukasz Pacholski. It will make it possible to rearm Ukrainian forces with Western armaments, to obtain a technical and qualitative gap over the Russians, and it could tilt the balance of victory to the Ukrainian side. The willingness to join the international coalition has been signaled by Portugal and Sweden, which want to donate upgraded versions of Leopards. Portugal, which has 2 companies of tanks, according to media reports, wants to transfer 4 tanks to Ukraine. So when you add it all up, this jump in Ukraine's capabilities should be apparent. Ukraine's armed forces have informed that Ukrainian soldiers have withdrawn from Soledar. There had been fierce fighting in the city for several weeks. Both sides have suffered heavy losses. Bakhmut, just 10 kilometers to the southwest, continues to resist. Russia is preparing for a new wave of aggression. The occupiers are already increasing pressure on Bakhmut, Vuhledar, and other directions. Our forces must keep the initiative in the war. Ukraine stresses that it urgently needs armaments not only because of the highly probable next Russian offensive, but also because of ammunition shortages. Training of Ukrainian crews to operate Leopard 2 tanks will begin in the near future in both Germany and Poland.
A free speech zone media campaign has been underway for several days, encouraging people to protest against the censorship TVN wants to introduce by sending letters to institutions in Poland and abroad, as well as to MPs and senators. The latest issue of the weekly Gazeta Polska included a special sticker saying, "TVN and Tusk, you won't shut our mouths," and posters and billboards supporting the action appeared on streets across Poland. The protest against censorship by the TVN station is expanding its reach. Today's issue of the weekly Gazeta Polska included a special sticker bearing the words "TVN and Tusk, you will not shut our mouths." The initiators of the action also encouraged people to send letters of protest on the issue to representatives of both Polish and international institutions. They are trying to blur reality. They're trying to manipulate their viewers. And because it's visible, in order not to show their manipulation, they lead to censorship. They lead to obfuscation. In parallel with TVN, Donald Tusk is trying to go after us. I received 3 lawsuits from Donald Tusk. TVN has brought several lawsuits with a ban on criticism. In addition, Gazeta Polska and portal niezależne.pl have launched a special information campaign. Posters and billboards are appearing on streets throughout Poland. In my opinion, TVN's lawsuit is connected to the 2023 elections. This is an attempt to shut our mouths and deprive us of the opportunity to review the materials of TVN, which was described by Marcin Horała during the debate as the largest opposition party in Poland. TVN's lawyers are trying to prove that the station has suffered image damage. However, according to publicists, political interests are actually the reason for the lawsuit. Among others, the editor-in-chief of the niezależne.pl portal, Grzegorz Wierciłowski, has been charged in this case. He benefited in addition to the TVN station, of course, a so-called total opposition, for whom the TVN station is a flagship relay. So Donald Tusk's civic platform would be very unhappy if someone openly undermined the credibility of the station. Lawyers for the TVN station, formulating the lawsuit, wanted to block the possibility of questioning the credibility of the materials aired on the broadcaster. For an injunction against the dissemination in any way and in any form, information that TVN lies, TVN provides information that protects Putin, TVN hides the truth about the Smolensk disaster, TVN publications are manipulated. Experts point out that the communist authorities acted in a similar way. At the time, preventative censorship was in effect to eliminate undesirable content before it was officially published. Demanding a ban on certain phrases for a year, that is, in fact, this suing party, the TVN station, is forbidding another medium form from using certain formulations in a certain context, although it doesn't really know them yet because, after all, it doesn't know what's going to happen in the near future, what's going to happen in a year, so it may just turn out that it will be adequate to use such formulations even more. The initiators of the action appeal to all those who do not agree with the restriction of freedom of speech to join the protest. As Thomas Sakiewicz stresses, freedom of speech before elections is a key thing. Without it, there will be no democracy. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business, and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.